how will you relate to others? That's very difficult. And so one of the aspects I had in mind in my book is to challenge this type of Christians. I said, well, think about the content of the bottle, which so superficially is labeled Christian. There is some need to go deeper into it. For yourself, but also to clarify how you will deal with people of other faith, which has become a public affair, even a political issue today in some of our countries. Well, the third aspect I'm dealing with is, for understanding your own faith, you need to put it into relation to other faith. You need to know about similarities and differences. Again, I say unsureness about your own identity or lack of knowledge about other faiths produces not only prejudice, but also insecurity and fear. And I feel this is a dangerous mixture of insecurity and fear, which easily may lead to aggressivity and perhaps explode in violence. Therefore, there is a need to overcome the insecurity in regard to your own identity, and also to overcome the lack of knowledge about other faith. The minimum basis to go on in a positive, constructive way is to know better about yourself and to know better about others. That is, I think, is a psychological aspect of the whole problem we are facing. And sometimes it's hard to convince people. So just say, remember yesterday night, we prepared for a week in Werden, Almelo, and one of the topics the friends gave to me for one of the nights to speak on is Allah, Jesus, Buddha, isn't it all the same? So that is a very popular question. And only in my country, at least, only a few people know that in Buddhism, for instance, they believe there is no God at all. So how can you ask the question whether we believe in all the same, or in the same God? If you have some minimum information about the religion, you know that in Buddhism teaches that there is no God. So it doesn't make sense to ask the question whether we believe in the same God if there is no God. So that shows that a lot of the discussion which is going, conversation which is going on around this topic is done without any information. And this cannot be that cannot be helpful. In my experience, it's really possible to have a respectful dialogue with a faithful Muslim if you are yourself faithfully are committed to your Christian belief. As a young pastor, I had the privilege to serve in Jerusalem in the years 64, 65, that was before the 6 Days War, and the old city of Jerusalem and the West Bank was completely a part of Jordanian kingdom and only Arabic. And I was working in the German Lutheran Church in Jerusalem, Church of the Redeemer, and the boarding section of an Arabic secondary school among mostly Palestinian Muslim students. And that was a basic experience to me, to have friendship with Muslims and faithful Muslims. And my experience always was, if you are faithful to your faith, you can easily communicate with the Muslim believer. If you say, well, I don't read my Bible, of course, and I don't go to worship service every Sunday, he will lose respect immediately. If he sees that you are faithful in reading the Bible and praying and attending the church and worship service, he pays respect, and you might dialogue with him even on controversial issues. That is possible. So I feel it's completely wrong to say peace only can happen in the dialogue if nobody really takes serious what he believes, and so there is no reason to fight about anything, because there is nothing we have to fight about. That's not true in regard to, let's say, at least Muslim believers. The fourth aspect I will develop is, I think it's in terms of the political relevance, the most important, I think. I'm convinced that we have to develop a new mature understanding of the political virtue of tolerance. In European history, tolerance used to mean allowing certain groups of people in a restricted way to live their faith and live as second-class citizens. You may remember when the Emperor Joseph II in Austrian-Hungarian monarchy allowed the Protestant churches to tolerate them. Then he allowed them to build churches, but without steeples. Until today, you can see that all over Hungary and Austria, the Protestant churches are just behind facades of the houses and without steeples, so it was reduced, and you were not allowed to go into public. That's the traditional way of understanding tolerance. We allow people to be like second-class citizens, not having the full rights, and have a reduced. They're not allowed to go public with their faith, but they can, behind the walls, do what they want to do and believe what they want to believe. That was the first period. And then the second period, since the Enlightenment movement, let's say 300 years ago, it started the whole process. It was the understanding, tolerance, that means there is no truth at all which is relevant for all of us. It's not absolute, no absolute truth. Everyone has only part of it, only his aspect of it, and so therefore it doesn't make sense to quarrel or to fight about that, because nobody knows really what it is. And so to be tolerant means that you admit, I know only an aspect or part of it, and you may have the other part. And we all together may have the full truth, but nobody knows. Be sure about believe what you want to believe, but no absolute truth at all. Obviously, this kind of attitude doesn't work anymore, because we are not able to impose that view on everybody. It's not only the Muslims who do not accept that. The Christians wouldn't accept it at all, as well. Of course, would we say Jesus is the way, and the truth, and the life? And say, well, he's the only way to God. But the atheists claim the same right. They say there is no God at all. Or the agnostics say, you cannot know anything about God. That is a strong conviction. And they are not ready to compromise. And they are not ready to say it's only an aspect, maybe it's not true. No, there is no God, or you cannot know. So it doesn't really work. What we have to find a way how we can stand for the truth, really live a conviction, and also be tolerant. But how can it happen? How can that happen? In my book, I quoted the philosopher Jürgen Habermas from his book, a collection of essays. I gave you in the paper, I gave you the source on naturalism and religion. You see, Jürgen Habermas is not suspicious to be a committed Christian. He is not speaking on behalf of the church. He used to be one of the philosophical leaders of the left since the 60s, and brilliant